Previously in Mahabharata, in the Kuru assembly, the voice of reason struggled to be heard. The elders, Bhishma and Drona, spoke of peace, urging the king to avoid the path of destruction. But their words fell on deaf ears, as Duryodhana sat surrounded by his advisors, his face darkening with frustration at the counsel he refused to accept. Silence broke as Duryodhana stood up, his eyes fixed on the envoy. He questioned the blame being cast upon him. Why was he singled out for the friction between the cousins? In his eyes, he had done no wrong, and he demanded to know why Krishna held him responsible for the brewing storm. Duryodhana recalled the gambling match, arguing it was a contest of skill and fortune, fairly played. The Pandavas had staked their kingdom and lost it. To him, the exile was a consequence of their own choices, not his deceit. He claimed innocence, insisting that the terms had been met and the kingdom was now rightfully his. Duryodhana's voice grew colder as he delivered his final verdict. He declared that as long as he lived, he would not yield. Not a village, not a town, not even enough land to cover the point of a sharp needle would be given to the Pandavas. The refusal was absolute. Krishna laughed softly, a sound like distant thunder. He reminded the king of the truth, the poison given to Bhima, the burning house of lac, and the unforgivable insult to Draupadi in this very hall. He listed the crimes one by one, stripping away the Duryodhana's veil of innocence. Stung by the undeniable truth, Duryodhana turned his back on the divine envoy. He signaled his brothers and his closest allies. Together, Duryodhana, Dushasana, and Karna stormed out of the assembly, disregarding the protocols of the court and the presence of the elders. The path to war was now open. Desperate to stop the inevitable, Dhritarashtra summoned Gandhari. The Queen Mother arrived, her heart heavy with fear. She called out to her angry son, begging him to control his senses. She warned him that greed would destroy him, and that by abandoning peace, he was abandoning both dharma and artha. But Duryodhana's mind was already set on treachery. In a shadowed corridor, away from the eyes of the wise, he conspired with Karna and Shakuni. They hatched a reckless plan to seize the envoy himself. They believed that, by capturing Krishna, they could break the spirit of the Pandavas before the battle even began. Their whispers did not escape notice. Satyaki, sharp-eyed and vigilant, sensed the danger. He immediately commanded Krutavarma to ready the army at the palace gates. Without wasting a moment, he entered the assembly and alerted Krishna and Vidura of the treacherous plot brewing in the shadows. Vidura stood up, his voice dripping with scorn for the foolish Kauravas. He mocked their ambition, comparing them to children trying to catch the wind or insects trying to seize a blazing fire. He warned Dhritarashtra that his sons were attempting to touch a power they could not comprehend, let alone contain. As the wicked princes returned to execute their plan, Krishna laughed. The air in the assembly hall grew heavy and hummed with energy. A strange light began to emanate from his form, blinding the onlookers. The earth trembled.